Hello, hello. Welcome to the monthly collective consciousness reading for October 2023. Guys, I'm hoping this is a good month. Please check out the weekly that I posted earlier this week. It bleeds very little into October, but the start of it, obviously. So go ahead and check that out. But so far, feels pretty positive. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Share this video with anybody that might need it, wants to, needs a heads up for the energy for October. And also hit the notification bell so you know when these videos come out. What else? I think that's it, guys. Comments, questions, concerns down below, feedback. Does it resonate? Does it not resonate? Just be kind. That's all I ask. Okay, guys, let's begin. We have need. Never-ending story. Okay, so I'm definitely feeling... never-ending story is the same thing over and over again. It's never-ending. You've heard it about 1,000 times. Think of like maybe your great aunt telling you the same story over and over and over again. But it actually feels like it's coming from like an outside source. So you guys know me, well, at least some of you guys have been following me for a while. And I hope you kind of get this vibe from me, is that I am somebody that, part of spirituality to me, soul work, shadow work, whatever, is really looking at ourselves and seeing how we can take accountability for our lives, how we can change our lives, how we can find our own power and move forward. It's all about like kind of calling us out, and that includes me too. But this is actually coming from like, it's not us telling the same story and over again. Like it really feels like outside energy in that way. So it almost just feels like somebody telling the same story over and over again to you. And to me, I think it's just coming up. I'll pull the next one because sometimes the need and the action needed are like pretty similar, because then this is basically like the awareness piece and then what you need to do to take action on it. So yeah, Spirit is like asking us to be aware of whoever it is that it is the same old story over and over and over again. Because I'll tell you right now, that might feel, you would probably think like, oh, that feels frustrating, or, that's annoying, or, whatever kind of emotions kind of come up, but not too much is coming up in that. So the action needed, we have Avenger in the shadow. It says resorting to violence in the name of a cause. So that's interesting because it does feel like, it's funny, I'm not getting too much from that as far as like, well, yeah, it's in the shadow. So sorry guys, I'm jumping all over the place. But so this means resorting to violence in the name of a cause, right? So it's about Spirit saying like not to take action, not to be violent, not to be, if you are feeling that frustration and moving it. But again, I don't feel like a lot of you guys are. It's like saying like, to rectify this person saying the same story over and over and over again, violence or lashing out at them or, cutting them off or whatever it is, actually won't solve the issue here. So I think that's interesting. So I guess Spirit is just saying like there's a peaceful way of resolution that doesn't necessarily involve things kind of getting out of hand, if that makes sense. So if there's somebody out there that keeps, promising you something or says that they're going to change, Spirit is saying like, don't drop to a level where you feel like you need to get revenge or you need to be violent about it or lose your cool in any way, shape, or form. So I hope that makes sense in some type of way. The issue, be brave and honest. Okay, so this goes with this, I feel like, because again, I'm feeling like outside energy here, and this is really about somebody being afraid to be honest with you. So I really feel like these three are really connected in the way of like the same old story that somebody's telling you, but they're not necessarily being completely honest with you. And so you really need to keep your cool the best that you can. Like that's the best way you can kind of describe these three cards in a row. So it really requires you to be even keeled and calm as you possibly can. as like, it almost just feels like, and again, you guys know I'm all about accountability. It's like, it's almost saying like, it's like the other person. So this is a really interesting way to start off October. So this, and I feel like it's definitely like a monthly thing. Like I definitely do feel like it's going to be happening all month. So have patience too. So if this person, if, you know, if the first week of October, you really still feel like this person isn't telling you the whole truth, and you know they're not telling you all sides of the story, for example, don't get you know, they're omitting the truth, whatever. Don't get too flustered. Like I really do feel like, and as we go along, we'll probably get more clarity, but I definitely do feel like towards the end of the month, everything will kind of clear itself out. You just have to keep your cool until then. I hope that makes sense for you guys. It's an interesting read, so let's keep going. Surprise, focus upon your strengths. Okay, this feels unrelated. This is just like a random, well, nothing is really random, right, guys? Excuse me. It's a random, sorry, why do I keep using that word? Maybe I do want to use that word because it feels like either a strength or a hidden talent or ability that you have that would really come in handy for this month. And honestly, it's above money and finances, and I'm very curious to see what money and finances show up with, you know, what the card is for that. But it almost feels like it's going to help accelerate finances in a way. That's what I'm getting intuitively, but it's definitely going to help you be successful in some type of way. It could be financial, but move you forward, whatever. But definitely tapping into something that you haven't used in a while, a strength that you haven't used in a while, something that you're good at, something that maybe, again, you haven't necessarily utilized in a long time. Okay, what's the challenge here? Here and now. Okay, not a bad challenge. This is just about having issues this month, being present. And if that's a big, you know, our biggest challenge this month, it's going to be a good month. That's all I have to say about that. So definitely being present. Don't forget to meditate, guys. And, you know, take the time to smell, you know, to smell the flowers, basically. All right, what are we focusing on here? Liberator. Freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns. Okay, so focusing on how to be free. Okay, this is not surprising to me. This is the last quarter of the year, and usually that first month of the quarters, especially the last one, we kind of think about how much that we've achieved in the year. We're kind of looking back. So that's interesting that we have stay present, right? So we might, you know, we might be beating ourselves up by looking, you know, looking in the past, that kind of thing, because we're not as far as what where we thought we would be. But usually that last quarter, we start looking at the past to set ourselves up for the future. So that makes sense why we have a challenge to stay present, right? Because we're kind of missing the point there. This is about focus on what makes you feel free. Okay, so it's an interesting journal prompt in a way, because freedom means so many different things and looks so different to every single person, but something tells me that we're not feeling that way, where we're feeling trapped. Maybe you spent the last year building a business that now you feel trapped from, right? Or something along those lines. So definitely focus on that, and we have reflect. Let's see what reflect says, but it's pretty much saying, you know, you're gonna have to reflect on that too. Makes sense. Fire Guardian, ignite your passions. This is about finding out, reflecting not only on that, what I just said, what you are passionate about, what does bring you purpose, what is meaningful, what puts a fire under your butt that you jump out of bed every morning, what makes you feel alive, that kind of thing. So these two go together here, okay? So we're kind of changing things in that way. Interested to see what change, what comes up in the change slot there. Responsibilities, fertility, it's always about birth. Fertility is about birth. So love it. These are really all, especially these two creator cards, creating your own reality. So your only responsibilities this month is figuring out what you want to go forward and create, basically. That's really it. Pretty straightforward. Money and finances, let's see. Co-create, okay. So this one is straightforward too, because this one is about co-creating. It's a really good month for partnerships. This is especially coming through with career. So if you're, and it's especially, I know this is for the general collective, and we have all types of people there, but if you are somebody who especially likes working alone, you know, think back to your college day, or some people still might be in college where, you know, you get assigned like a group project, right? And sometimes it's like the worst because people slack and you do all the work, but you all get the same grades. It's like super annoying. Trust me, I've been there. But in that case, that kind of screws you. But in this case, Spirit is saying, no, like this month it is set up for co-creation in your favor. So partnerships are favored and heavily supported with this energy. Yes, it could be with money and finances in general, not necessarily tied to career. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but again, I want to reiterate, I'm still kind of feeling this focus upon your strengths here is more kind of related to the finance piece. So if, you know, money, finance, career, look at these two things, and you guys should be good. Change. Companion, loyalty, tenacity, and unselfishness. Okay, so change in companionship. So I don't think this necessarily is super literal where it's saying you're changing the person that you're with. Maybe for some of you guys. But this is more so, now I see the energy back on us. We're up here, I feel like it's like a situation with somebody coming at us. This feels like us. So I feel like we change. We change the kind of companion that we are. Our companionships change in some type of way and dynamic. Let me start. It does feel more romantic, I'm not gonna lie, but for example, my cat is my companion, you know. There's definitely a lot of, what does it say, loyalty? Yeah, loyalty there. It could be that too, you know, but it does feel a little bit heavy emphasis like on romantic connection. So I'm curious to see what comes up here, but let's see what the relationship corner says. Shaman Master, be graceful in movement and action. Okay, so with friends, it's about not rushing things, not moving too fast. So this to me feels like, again, focus is on us, not rushing any of our friends to do something that they don't want to be doing. Honestly, this could be referring connected, I should say, like to stuff up here, right? Where, you know, it could be a friend that keeps saying the same old story over and over and over again, and you might like start getting frustrated and you know, maybe want to wreak havoc, you know, in the, you know, the Shadow Avenger. You know, maybe you want to shake them and, you know, push them forward, and, you know, you think you might be being a good friend, but they're not quite ready, and you're pushing them too hard or too fast or something like that. So that could be related in that way. So I will say pushing people past what they're comfortable with this month will backfire. I will say that. But I think that you guys are, like, you'll notice that. Like, I don't think you guys get to that point. Like, I think a lot of you are going to be listening to this and be like, I know, at least, like, you know, as the month goes on, you're going to say to yourself, I know what Spirit is saying here, and I didn't, but I do feel that that push to do that. So you guys are smart and, you know, compassionate and empathetic, and you know, you're not pushing anybody to the place where they feel like uncomfortable. So that's good, but you might feel that desire, is what Spirit is trying to say here. So again, that could be linked to up here, that really interesting and wild reading with those 3 cards up there, but could be linked to that. But don't create chaos where we don't need it. Like, so basically up here, it's really about like not creating that chaos is what I'm. Does that make sense, guys? Am I making it more confusing? But again, I don't feel that energy supports that. It's like we're actually staying calm when somebody is frustrating us, is another way to kind of say it, is because somebody is telling us the same old thing over and over and over and over again. And we could easily be unhinged. We can easily react. But we don't, right? And we don't until we get all the honest truth, right? With the issue card there. With that knight, right? So somebody needs to come clean to us and tell us the whole story and be honest and that kind of thing. So we wait for the important information. There's actually a card that says wait for important information, but you know, it's kind of saying it here in the friend slot where it's saying, You know, we're not going too fast. You know, we're not reactive, basically, to this situation. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. I hope I didn't butcher it more. Let's see the romantic connections after that companion card. Teacher. Okay. Teacher is great. So we're teaching our partners, our companions, something. They're teaching us something. Okay. There's really not too much to say about this, but we learned something new. It's not like it feels like it's not like learning something new about your partner or something like that. It feels like we're learning something about ourselves in this dynamic, okay? And it could very much be if there's a change in the companionship or there's a change in the dynamic, we learn something. Obviously, that's what change is really about. So I'm not surprised by this card at all. Importance. Between worlds. We had this card in the last one. So it makes sense to me because it's okay to, the last one was bleeding into October, and it is October now. It's okay if it's not even about taking one step back. It's about being in our new lives, but having reminders of the old life. I think I wrote it down, actually. You may, yeah, I think it's the title of the video, you may like reminisce or take a step back, but you're still moving forward. And I think that's what Spirit is saying here, is like, it's important to know that you are still where you are, you know? But it's okay if you had to kind of take a step back or do something that requires you to kind of dip into your old life. I hope you guys know what I'm saying. I think you do. Health and wellness. We have orphan child, independence based on learning to go it alone, conquering fear of surviving. Okay, so this is great because in the last weekly, we actually got the orphaned card where we felt very alone and that kind of thing. Alone, isolated, disconnected. So it being under health and wellness, child orphan in the light makes me feel so happy because that means last week, you guys really worked on what Spirit was asking you. So you found that connection wherever you could find it, whether it was other people or connecting back to self, higher self. But we feel good. We feel independent. We feel connected. We feel more grounded. It's a positive thing, even though it says orphan child. It's saying like we found our place in the world, even if we are independent, if that makes sense. So that's really good for our emotional wellness, mental wellness, and spiritual wellness, obviously. So yeah, I love that. So amazing job, guys. You guys need to hear that. So overall outcome, what do we have for the month? Moon, take note of intuitive messages. Okay, so this is about cycles. This is about intuitive cycles. So I love it, love it, love it, because like I said, sometimes the last card and the first card kind of connect each other, just like the circle of life. And to me, sometimes I love reading as if it's telling a story, because the cards do tell a story in a way. And so you have the beginning of the story and then you have the end of the story, right? And so for me, it definitely does feel like this is going back to cycles, talking about cycles. Okay, so, but this feels like a more positive cycle, whereas that feels like a little bit more of a negative type cycle. But this tells me a couple things. Number one, whatever's kind of going on up here will be resolved by the end of the month. That's what I feel like. So make sense of what I was saying before. Be patient. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't bring chaotic energy and try to fix the problem, try to avenge the problem, you know, by yourself until you have all the information, until the third party, whoever that person, you know, whatever's the outside thing that's coming to you that has the never-ending story, until they come clean or tell the truth or give you all sides of the story, that kind of thing. Just like wait for all of that so you can kind of, it's almost similar to like the mediator card, which we actually got in the weekly, because it's kind of like listening to all sides of the story in a way before kind of taking action on it and on the information that we have already. So, but the problem is it's stalled because, and it's under that issue, is because somebody is afraid to be honest with us. Okay, so that's that. So basically what this is saying is you will get a conclusion to this weird stuff that's kind of like coming up here. And what's the word I'm looking for? a potential ending to this cycle that keeps going on and on and on. So a potential end to this cycle, okay? That's gonna look so differently for so many people. I can't even give an example because it's just so relative to each person out there. Let's see if I can like pull one out here so I can wrap it up with an example. Your friend over and over and over and over again complains about their life and how they have no choices and they have no money and they hate their jobs, and it's just the same story over and over and over and over and over again. And you're feeling frustrated and you're feeling annoyed, you know, all of those things that kind of come along with it. But instead of resorting to violence, which is basically, and also again linked to this, where it's like pushing somebody to, you know, maybe, okay, go out and get a job then that you do like, or do this. And like, instead of like kind of like dictating how or what they should be doing, Spirit is saying just kind of like leave the story and let it continue to fester, because there is more to the story that they're not necessarily saying. So maybe your friend is pregnant and they haven't told you that. So there's like another factor to the story that would kind of change any outcomes that you would suggest. So that is my attempt at a example of what this energy is. It's a little specific, so I'm really curious to see how it manifests for people, but there's more to that that story that you guys don't know, but will be revealed to you when the third party is ready to reveal it. So the only thing that you could do now is you can have boundaries, obviously. You know, if somebody is draining your energy because they keep complaining over and over again how their life, you know, sucks or whatever, totally fine for you to have boundaries, that kind of thing. But there's not much that you can do. There's not much action that you can take until that person is kind of ready to reveal the truth of it all, basically. So, all right. I hope that makes sense for you guys. That was a tizzy. But otherwise, really good. Really positive. Money is good. Career is good. It does look like there's a heavy emphasis on, I do want to say, companion, friendship, the people in our lives. I will say this, the people that surround us every day, I will say, because it does feel like this is kind of like close to home in a way. So, because if you think about it, never a new story, the same story over and over again. It's not, you know, if you have a friend from high school that you talk to maybe every 5 years, you know, it's obviously not a story that you hear often, right? This really does feel like it's like repetitive in nature. So, all right, guys, hopefully that makes sense for you. Have a wonderful, wonderful month, and I'll see you on the weeklies, guys, and I'll obviously see you for November, and we're almost at the end of the year. I'm definitely going to do a yearly, that's for sure. So that's going to be interesting. So, yeah, I'll see you guys around. All right, have a good one. Bye.